As a master love song creator, I have to ask you about someone else I worship as a love song creator, Al Green. Is there any influence or stories about Al Green you have?
Well, first of all, your compliment is extremely over the top, but thank you very much.
Flattery is my specialty.
I really appreciate it. Flattery is usually the first course of a 5-course meal. But anyway, which we will pay for naturally. I have a great anecdote about the Master Al, who is a huge influence on not just myself, but just a ton of us. I can remember doing a festival in Liverpool, one of the spiritual cities of the world, a concert for Master John Lennon's memory, and he was a part of it. Were many other great artists that I was very impressed by. But because our sound checks were back to back, during sound check, the production had us picked up at the same time in this car. So this is my chance, just me and the great Master Al Green, which I spell O-W-L, Al Green, because he's just so wise. And I said to him something that a 27-year-old asked to a great master. I said, Master, why are you so happy? Because he was just so happy-go-lucky. He was so happy. His spirit was just so positive and just contagious. And I was almost embarrassed because I thought artists were supposed to be brooding and, like difficult and all this kind of stuff. Basically my own nature. And he said to me something that I'll never forget. And even though it was maybe over 25 years ago, or roughly 25 years ago. Not that I'm much older than 25 myself. But he said something profound to me. He said, son, I'm happy because every day I wake up and I choose to be happy. Whoa. I was like blown away. Wait. Rewind. What? Excuse me? What did you just say? I said, son, I'm happy because every day I wake up and I make a decision that I will be happy today. And I thought, wait, huh? You can choose to be happy? You can choose happiness? And I was stunned, even though I thought, of course, as a 27, 26-year-old man at the time, that I knew everything. I still don't deny that I knew everything, but I was just wrong about it. But I was stunned by that because it was the first time a maestro had said that happiness is a choice, and you can choose to be identified with what's miserable about life, and there is more than enough that you can choose as any type of man or woman to use as the verification of your misery, or you can choose, I'm going to be happy regardless. It's a flood today, but I'm still going to put my boots. I'm still going to wade in the water. I'm still going to choose to be happy. I'm still going to catch my catfish. So that's my Al Green story. And as a person who's influenced me tremendously as an artist, not just as a singer, but as an artist, as a genius, I'm certainly very grateful that he also was able to enlighten me as to the fact that no matter how much we may depend on spirit and much we may depend on the Lord, on God, we in our religion, in our faith, in our practices, we still have a choice to actively embrace the concept that we wish to embody in our life. If you want to be happy, then be happy.
Now, in the time we have left, let me bring up a couple other masters. On the new album, the last chapter is the Zugabrians have gone back into time and they've killed Robert Johnson. And me personally, I couldn't think of anything more devastating to human
Keith
culture.
Richards was very pissed off about because if they killed Robert Johnson.
That's the seed that everything is cool grew out of, is Robert Johnson.
They killed Keith Richards. And they killed Mick Jagger. And they killed Brian Jones. But see, they killed Brian Jones anyway. And they killed Brian Jones.
Winnie the Pooh's Pool.
Bam. And they was only allowed to get away with killing Brian Jones because they killed Robert Johnson.
What is your favorite Robert Johnson lyric? My favorite Robert Johnson lyric is, I'm going down to Jonesboro until my teeth are crowned with gold. She's got a mortgage on my body and a lien on my soul.
Well, I can't improve upon that. I can't. You know, for me, Master Robert was, along with masters like Woody Guthrie and Hank Williams.
One of my perennials.
That's one
of my perennials. My holy trinity is James Brown, Van Morrison, and Hank Williams, where I kind of have to go back for religious purposes to listen to those guys.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that since they went back in time and killed Robert Johnson, there was no Hank Williams.
Right.
There was no Van Morrison. There was no Willie Nelson. There was no Bob Dylan. There was no Stones. There was no Beatles. There was no hippie movement. There was no nothing. There was no Tom Petty. There was no Bruce Springsteen. There was no like Ohio Players. There was no P-Funk. There was none of that shit. There was even no Jay-Z. Because they went back in time and they killed Robert Johnson. That domino being removed from the situation meant that they understood that Robert Johnson was pivotal to Western culture. Because if they took away your Van Morrison, who the fuck are you? And Van Morrison was the one that warned us, not just by himself, but he was the one who sang at an A&R convention, a record company convention, send in the clowns. Okay? He was the one that said, send in the clowns. Our life is now being clowned by these situations. So the successful killing, taking out of Master Robert Johnson from our timeline meant that there was no Stones, there was no Beatles, there was no Led Zeppelin, there was no Dazed and Confused, there was no raising of Western consciousness to the next level that boom, that boom. Here's the usher in of the next consciousness you might know. This is who you are. There was none of that. So the idea being that by taking away the George Washington of the situation, you don't have stars and stripes.
Yeah.
You have stripes and stars. Scars, and boom, you hit so hard you see stars. But you don't have that thing that protects you and gives you a culture. And that's just to say that time machines are dangerous. Children at home, don't get caught up in building time machines, because next thing you know, you're smoking a bong, you're hitting a bong, you're in a time machine, and you're trying to change the way Billie Holiday sings. If you change the way Billie Holiday sings, you change the way Frank Sinatra sings. Mm-hmm. If you change the way Master Frank Sinatra sings, you change Elvis, and what do we have? We have a bunch of hillbillies and rednecks sitting around going ding 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 ding,
bluegrass,
and niggas not knowing what to do. So you have to have. These were our points of evolution. So, this is what the Master Robert Johnson means to us, because for our Western civilization, Master Robert, like Master Shakespeare, like Beethoven, is a touchstone to what we have achieved as a culture, where we have gone. And the idea being, without Robert, Scots-Irish culture, blues culture, none of that exists in America. Because if I may further reiterate before we go to lunch, Oliver Cromwell, when he controlled England, he put his brother in charge of Ireland. And what did his brother do? To raise revenue, he sold Irish women and children into slavery. At that particular time, the main route was the West Indies, because that's where the British investments were. So, Irish women and children, bringing the Celtic bloodlines, harmony, the culture, mixed with the African slaves when they were just, and what we know is now the blues scale is a mixture of Cromwell's brother, his greed, selling the African women and their breeding into slavery and their children into the West Indies. So you meet the Africans and their sensibility, you put the Scots-Irish with their sensibility, and now you have the blues scale. And that's where the blues comes from. So our culture, our musical culture, even Bob Marley, Master Marley in the West Indies, is a direct result. And in fact, if you even go to the West Indies, if you go to Jamaica, Jamaica has this weird connection to Ireland. Even Irish people in Jamaica say, there's this weird
They
connection.
love music in Ireland. It's jumping at you everywhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. These are people. You know, if you're a redneck, like my bloodlines, you're Scots-Irish. You have, so it's all part of us. And so this is the connection of our people, is that together, Western music, we introduce and bled together. So the idea that you or I should be circumscribed in what type of music we present when we in fact invented the whole thing, it's bullshit. We should be able to make the music that we want to make. So Tom Petty is my brother.
Okay, in closing, I just want to say thank you so much for bringing me into your spiritual, creative home of your studio. I knew that today was going to be a magic day because I was going to get to talk to you, but this morning, going to get coffee, I saw a little person, which I think is always a magic thing in Italy, so they were dressed impeccably. And then, unbeknownst to me, you would hum Dazed and Confused to me today. So it couldn't be a better day. The last time we spoke, we closed with you telling me about Miles Davis and your friendship. So is there any other knowledge nugget or special experience from that friendship you can share with me?
As much as being blessed by spirit and knowing that I was given a certain protection to pursue what it was that my vision was programmed to pursue, I was embraced by Master Miles, and very, very early in my process. And he also made sure that his colleagues in the industry understood that this one's real, this one's sincere. Let's pay attention to him, let's look out for him. And that has certainly blessed my life in ways that I have not been able to necessarily calculate from that particular time. The only cost is that he actually did me a painting for me that I have since misplaced because I put it in storage when I was moving years and years ago. Some bitch probably stole it, but that's the only downside of it, is that he actually, I could right now have an original painting by Master Miles Davis hanging in my home, which I don't have because someone took it, but it's still in my mind, and it's still reminiscent of the fact that he cared that much about my lineage and my participation in the heritage of the situation, to say, this bitch is for real, so, respect. And it's been a blessing in my life that I've since, I still retain. It's the equivalent for me of Master Beethoven saying, yeah, it's all right, continue.
Maestro Sananda Maitreya, long may you run, sir.
You too, baby.
Respect.
Respect to you as well. Maestro Tom Rhodes, Colossus of.